News broadcaster Pat Robertson has died at the age of 93. Robertson made religion central to American politics. He turned a small Virginia television station into the Christian Broadcasting Network. There, he hosted the flagship 700 Club show for half a century. Robertson was a Southern Baptist and married a Catholic. He is survived by 4 children, 14 grandchildren, and 24 great-grandchildren. He also has ties to EWTN. We go now to Raymond Arroyo, host of EWTN's World Over and author of the New York Times bestseller, Mother Angelica, the remarkable story of a nun, her nerve, and a network of miracles. Raymond, great to see you, my friend. I know you write in Mother's biography about her relationship with Pat Robertson. Tell us more about that and the influence he had on her life.
Well, here's the story. Mother Angelica was all over the nation at this time, 1978, and she was preaching to people, Catholics and a lot of charismatic Catholics and some Protestants. And remember, it was a group of Protestant ladies in Birmingham who kind of first surrounded Mother Angelica and invited her to teach them a Bible study during Lent. That's how this cloistered nun became a public figure. And it was that Bible study that mushroomed into a radio ministry, then a tape ministry, and next thing you know, she felt inspired to go into television. And she recorded a little half-hour program called Our Hermitage. And it was just Mother with kind of a light above her. It's kind of very crude television with a Bible open. And she said, you know, I looked like Andy Gump, who's an old, radio and TV character. She said, I looked ridiculous. And even Jean Morris, who was a friend of Mother's who helped finance this endeavor into television, said it was a disaster in the beginning. But it was that first half-hour tape of Our Hermitage, that was the name of the show, that Jean Morris took to CBN, Pat Robertson's network, to show them they had been praying for a Catholic program. When they saw Mother, they found it. Amazing. And that's really how it began.
It really is amazing. And, as we mentioned, like Mother, he was a trailblazer who turned his small station in Virginia into this global phenomenon. Yeah. Also, like Mother Angelica, he hosted his own wildly popular show, the 700 Club. We mentioned that as well. But he also did much more than that, and he was very influential in politics. Can you talk to us about that, Raymond?
Yeah, well, look, Pat Robertson always wanted to be a political kingmaker in addition to an evangelist, and he was both. Mother Angelica never made that mistake. She stayed in her lane, if you will. She preached the gospel, she challenged, she fixed the church and was focused on that rather than politics. Didn't mean she didn't weigh in on political issues, but not candidates. She never did that. Robertson created the Christian Coalition, a force of evangelical Christians who he thought could move and did move the body politic, certainly with the victory of Ronald Reagan and following. Those evangelicals became crucial. But the other fascinating thing, Pat Robertson in some ways was a model, a pioneer of what Mother Angelica would not only mimic, but then take in a different direction. Whereas Pat Robertson went toward the political and the more secular, creating the Family Channel, Mother Angelica went global and, kept it Catholic, focused on that. But the heart of everything she did, and I think Pat Robertson, certainly the guy running his programming at the time who I interviewed many years ago, he told me when he first saw that video of Mother Angelica that there was a sparkle about her. There was the Holy Spirit was moving in her. And that's what moved them to broadcast her. And so her first broadcast home in television and in people's homes came via the Christian Broadcasting Network and Pat Robertson. So there is a intertwining, if you will, of those ministries. Yeah, absolutely. Raymond, when you think back, what do you think will be Pat's life and legacy? How will people remember him? Well, certainly an evangelical trailblazer in television. He was the first person to create a viable network. This started, it was a little UHF channel in Virginia Beach. It was nothing. The guy had $70. It's not unlike Mother Angelica with $200 in her pocket in Birmingham. So it's kind of this, these are people who were so committed to the mission that they had and driven by faith that they had to do this for the greater good. Robertson wanted to create a network that could reach the country, and he did. but he did it in a kind of Holmesy, folksy talk show format that he continued to do really up until, a few years ago. He was still hosting the 700 Club. Mother Angelica did something different. She was more of a monologuist, a storyteller, but they both had their strengths. And with Robertson, I think his legacy will be a combination of a broadcast pioneer, but certainly a political visionary who was able to marshal evangelicals and serious Catholics and try to move them in a certain direction politically.
Oh, Raymond, great to be with you, my friend. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Tracy. Always a pleasure to talk about Mother.